Eric, we had a chance to speak with Mario today, and I know he mentioned to us that it was sort of cathartic for him to be back with his brothers. And have you had a chance to speak with him, and sort of what's the mood that you get from him, I guess?
Well, I've spoken to Mario, and he's doing well, all things considered, and I think he is benefiting from being back into a routine and just allowing the people that care about him to be around him and to continue to support him.
Would you envision any sort of a more limited role with him this week, Eric, than what is customary?
I don't think so.
Eric, you guys have been really good against running backs coming out of the backfield from a receiving standpoint. Why is that, I guess?
Well, because we have them accounted for within the context of what we're doing with our package. I mean, they have to be accounted for, and it's important that if we're playing a back and from a man concept standpoint, that we identify his ability to get out quickly. Sometimes his alignment will tell you that. You can start to anticipate that, and then just certain zone coverages that we're able to play. When that person kind of enters into that particular area, you have to connect to him right away. So we've done a nice job with that. The quarterback, again, it all goes back to the rush. We have to make sure that ball comes out, hopefully early.
What was the difference on this past Sunday in the Titans in the first half and the second half? It seemed like they had a lot more success running the ball in the second half versus in the first half.
Well, I mean, the first half, I just thought we were really on top of our game, and in all aspects. I thought we did a nice job executing our technique. I talked about that a week prior to the Titans game, just making sure that our technique was where it needed to be. In the second half, there were just a couple of things that we weren't quite where we needed to be in terms of our gap control responsibility, some crack and replace fits, just things of that nature. And so the first drive kind of got us. We never want to give up a touchdown, either starting the game or especially coming out of the half, coming out to start the half. And so that happened. I thought we responded. We made some adjustments on the sideline. It wasn't a problem for us going forward.
Ron said that a big part of bringing Wes in when you did was as an insurance policy for Gerald and Vern. Yeah, how comfortable would you be playing Wes like at a 5 technique?
Well, that's what he's done that a lot in the past. So the thing with Wes is Wes has played just about every position up front, including nose tackle in some situations, and smart player, and so wherever our system calls for him to line up, Wes will execute. He's already met a lot with Sam on some of the things that are specific to this game plan and just some of the new wrinkles that we have. And I mean, he's really taken to it. So we feel good about him.
You get the sense he'll be active Sunday?
We'll see. We'll just see what happens as far as the decisions that need to be made with who's available.
Eric, you had mentioned, I don't want to dwell too much in the past. I know you guys are focused on Green Bay, but you had mentioned against the 49ers the big issue was gap integrity, and,
Sure.
and I was just wondering how you made of the way that you guys were able to respond from that against Tennessee. Did you feel like the gap discipline was better overall?
I do, and we just went back to work, and like I mentioned last week, just kind of reestablished, retaught, if you will, the things that you have to do with each individual player and within that defensive context. And some run fits are a little bit more challenging than others, especially when you have moving parts, bend schemes, you have pullers and lead blockers and those types of things, and it just depends on the call. So I felt like the guys did a nice job. We place a huge emphasis on that. We have to take that away from the exceptional quarterbacks that we see week in and out, and so I thought we did a nice job.
Depending on James's availability, what's your level of comfort with Ross and with Dante, or would you see Javian getting an expanded look there? How would sort of things shake out if James ultimately were not able to go or were limited?
Right. Well, whoever ends up playing, I mean, I mentioned a week ago the depth. You have to feel great about the depth, and before there is an issue with a player being available, you feel good about Ross Cockrell. Javian Elliott has demonstrated that he can play in prime time, that he can be a factor and be productive. So whoever lines up out there, we feel good about. They'll go out and execute and do a good job.
And Ron was talking a little bit about this, Aaron, but kind of the decision to blitz or not blitz Rodgers? I mean, is he, how would you rank him around the league in terms of dealing with extra pressure?
Right up there at the top. I mean, at the top. He's seen all of the looks. And his biggest strength, one of his strengths, is just being able to anticipate, based on a lot of indicators that quarterbacks look for. He acquires those things very, very quickly and has got them in the right play, or a play that's challenging against that concept. And so we have to do a good job of just maintaining a vanilla look and just being real strategic about when we deploy blitzes. We're going to always, Joe, start off trying to generate pressure with our front four, making sure those guys are tuned up. It's easier and it's better when you can do that, and then you blitz. That blitz complements what you're doing there, but he's right up at the top.
And how much different did they look getting Adams back last week? And I know it wasn't quite 100% Adams, but what do you think about him and what he brings back to them?
Well, that entire receiving core, big, tall, and fast. It just seems like they're all from central casting, if you will, as far as receivers are concerned. And then you throw the tight ends into that mix, Jimmy Graham and Lewis. I mean, he's one of the featured guys. But if you look statistically at what's going on, they are spraying the football all over the place. There are a number of guys with at least 20 receptions. But Adams has the ability to isolate you on the single receiver side, and he can go up and really make plays on contested balls. And so I think that really complements Rodgers' improvisational ability, being able to throw that thing up and challenge that what we call a 50-50 ball. And so he adds a lot to what they're doing, but he's just, to me, he's one of several guys that kind of make that offensive passing game go.
Is that something that you guys work in practice, like extending the play for the secondary to make sure that they're sticking on to guys, for that extra 3 or 4 seconds for a guy like Rodgers who extends plays so often?
No question. The first thing we actually do, Josh, is we work on overlap in the rush. We want to try and make sure that we don't give him an indefinite amount of time, because if you start to plaster or really connect to the receiver in your area, there's only so long you can do that. And so we really work with the front on making sure that they're overlapping each other, and we're forcing him to throw it, or we're in a position to hit him or get him on the ground.
Eric, it seems like with Dante missing a couple of games, James dealing with this thing, Trey coming, it feels like Eric Reed has almost flown under the radar in terms of the impact that he's made for you guys. What leaps have you seen from him this season? It feels like he's always making big plays at the most opportune times.
Well, Eric was acknowledged last week. He was one of the standout performers that Coach Rivera acknowledged in our team meeting following our game against Tennessee. And he hasn't flown under our radar. The production has been consistent and it's been impactful. You talk about, creating a turnover in the Tennessee game and recovering a turnover and off of a blitz in the Houston game. Those are just two that jump off the top of my head. So, he's done a really good job. He's a physical presence. Every time we used him as an extra rusher, he seems to make something happen. We joke with him about that, but he's done a really nice job, excellent, close to the core. And so he hasn't flown under our radar. The production is where it needs to be, and hopefully that'll continue.
What is it about his relationship with Trey and Luke that enables them to have the level of ease that they do? It almost seems like they don't even have to talk to each other out there. They just recognize the same things and go and adjust to them.
The trust has really increased, and I wish you guys could see what happens when we're in meetings and we're going through film review and the communication that's going on while they're just in their seats. They are talking through every scenario. They will make the calls that we make out on the field during practice or during the game in the meeting room. So there's constant communication. And from that, you just have that level of trust and that level of anticipation that you need on defense. And so the communication is there. Luke knows what he can count on from Eric. And then your safety communication has to be there because they have to constantly adjust to all of the moving pieces.
Did you take anything away from that trip up there, I guess it was in 14, just in terms of, I don't know, and I don't think that day was stupid cold, but I don't know, is there anything you'll do differently, or you guys have talked about this week doing differently than you did 5 years ago?
Playing a whole lot better. And that's what we work on. All of the other stuff, honestly, and this may sound like coach speak, but the things that are outside of what you have to do when the ball is snapped, the guys do a good job compartmentalizing that stuff and being laser focused on playing football. We play in all kinds of elements. It's hot in Spartanburg. It gets cold at different times of the year. And the guys, they really, really adjust to those types of things. They don't, when they go out to play, the only people, they're just not thinking about that. We've had a couple of extreme situations where we had to Minnesota a few years back. But by and large, it's just not an issue. It's just not something that they think about. Nobody talks about it. They get dressed, they go out, and they know what they have to do when the ball is snapped.
Anything else?
Coaches talk about among yourselves?
Well, we may discuss it with Don Toner, and you may want to get an extra set of long underwear. We're the wimps. We're the ones that have to worry about those things, but the players, no.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks, guys.